VersaMark and Server Stamping Retreat. Today we're going to be creating 5 belly band cards, and they're all going to have a little tree ornament on them so that it's kind of a card and a gift in one. And to create those we're going to be using the kit that comes free with the latest Craft Essentials Memory Box magazine. So I'll just quickly show you what you get free with the magazine. So you get these dies, and you can see this is the shape that you can create with the dies after they're all put together. So that creates like a little ornament. Then we've got this little stamp set. We've got this embossing folder, and then this is the paper pack that comes with this. And obviously you get a magazine full of ideas of how to use all this as well, which I think is one of the best things about the kits that come with the magazines, because you get so many ideas and so much inspiration to work from. So there's all these bits that you can cut out, and same again on this page, different bits to cut out. Really nice bright papers, lots of stars and snowflakes, and there's kind of like some like more pastel-y ones and some really bright ones, so you can make a lot of different types of cards with it. It's really cute with the little images. And then you've got your poinsettias. And this one, and then we're back to the beginning again. So you get 2 of each sheet. And these usually come in the middle of your magazine, the papers do. So usually when I'm using these papers, because they're papers as opposed to cardstock, then if I'm cutting something out to stand up off a card, then I'll back the individual thing on paper. But I know that I'm not going to use these 2 papers that are on the back. I'm going to use a lot of these elements. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out these 2 sheets of paper. I've always got the other 2 sheets if I do decide to use the backs at a later point. But I'm going to back these each onto a piece of cardstock so that when I'm using them, then they've just got that extra bit of thickness. And especially because we're creating things that we want to be ornaments, I just want them to be a bit more sturdy. So for my first card, I've got a 5" by 10" piece of Night of Navy cardstock from Stampin' Up, and I'm going to score it at 2.5 inches and at 7.5 inches to make it into a gatefold card. So then those will fold into the middle. And then I've got this piece of Stampin' Up Pool Party cardstock, and that is 4 3/4 inches square. And I'm just going to cut that down the middle so that I can have one piece on each half. And I can just glue these on each side of my gatefold. And then I've cut out some of these pieces with the main die from the die set. I just want to draw around one of them because I kind of want to create like a backing piece for it. And then I'm going to cut just inside these lines. And then I can build up my ornament from there. So I've cut 2 of these pieces from Night of Navy cardstock, so I'm going to glue those together, and I've cut it twice to make it a little bit stronger. And then I'm just going to put a bit of glue just in here. I'm going to pop that on there. And then I'm going to put this one on top of it. So this one's just cut from Pool Party cardstock. And I want to create a few layers, because obviously if you want it to go on the tree, it needs to be a bit thicker than just ordinary cardstock. And I'm actually going to put the middle piece in this one as well. And I've just got these little bits to glue back into there as well. And then I've got 2 more Night of Navy pieces that I'm going to stack on top. As you can see, it's getting quite thick now and quite sturdy. And then I've got these stars that I've cut with the dies from some silver glitter cardstock, which I'll link below. It's actually a really nice cardstock. You might have seen me use it on some of my other videos. I've been using it quite a lot recently. And I've also cut this Christmas wishes from the same glitter cardstock. I'm just going to put a little dot there. I've got that dot from the eye here. And then I've got this ribbon which is unbranded that I'm going to use to tie a loop onto here. And there's your loop for putting it on the tree. You can make that a bit longer or shorter depending on where you want it. It's quite a big bauble, so I tend to leave a bit of a smaller loop for bigger baubles because they take up more space. So I want that to go on there, and I want that to tuck behind it. So then I'm going to fold this round my card. And you kind of want it so that it is tight enough to stay up, but loose enough to slide on and off. So you don't want it too tight. So this is a piece of Night of Navy cardstock that's about 1 inch thick. Now I've got this piece of paper from the paper pack that I'm just going to glue along it. Then I'm just going to glue that behind. And just pull that off to dry. And then you obviously want a non-permanent adhesive to attach it to your belly band. So I've got this glue dot I'm going to use to attach this to your belly band because you want it to be able to come off so that it can hang on the tree. So then I'm going to tuck that behind and I just add it onto here. I might actually just use an extra one as well. I don't think that one's going to be enough because the one's kind of stuck to the ribbon. So then there's your finished card. You can slide off the belly band. You can take this off as well. Add it to your tree. So that's a cute ornament on the front of there. So then for my next card, I'm going to create a gatefold A6 card. So I've got an 8 1/4 by 5 7/8 inches piece of real red cardstock from Stampin' Up. And so I'm going to score it 2 1/8 of an inch, turn it around, score it again at 2 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to fold the sides in. So then I've got these Christmas wishes and some stars that I've cut from the die set, and it's from that same glitter cardstock pack that I used for the last card. So it's got the copper, which is actually this one, which I think is more of a rose gold, the gold, the green, the red and the silver white in it, and you get 2 sheets of each. It's a really useful pack for Christmas cards. I think the easiest thing to do is to run everything through my Xyron Create a Sticker machine. I've used this quite a lot on my videos recently. As you may have heard me say before, they don't actually make this model anymore. So I just think that gluing all these with all those, they're really delicate die cuts, is going to be a bit of a nightmare. So I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to run them through here. I think, to be fair, the stars will be okay. So I've put one of them through, but I'll just glue the rest. So I've cut the sentiment 4 times, so I'll stick those around first and then fill the gaps with the stars. I'm going to have this on the front. It's going to be like a wreath, but I want at least one of the Christmas wishes to be visible kind of below there. So I'm going to just hold that in place while I stick one of these Christmas wishes on. I'm going to stick that just down here so that you can really see it as a sentiment. And that one can go there, with this one kind of coming off the side up here. And then I'll chop the ends off that. And I'll use those again, maybe down here. And then I'm just going to just cut up here and snip these so that the card still opens. And then I've got a load of the stars to fill in the gaps. So this one I'm being careful to glue the whole thing, so I'm going to put this across the join of it. Then I can just snip that bit down there. And then I'm just going to turn it over and just snip a few bits that I've laid over the edges off. And then I want to create like a wreath. So I've got these pieces that I've cut from the die pack, which I'm going to use as like the hangers. And then I've got these. So I've just created these by cutting a large circle and a small circle out from 2 pieces of cardstock. So this is Evening Evergreen cardstock from Stampin' Up. So I've just used my circle dies to create that wreath. And I'm just going to glue this in. So that's going to be the bit that's going to attach it to our tree. And I've not made this as thick as I did the other one, as in it's not got as many layers of card, but obviously you can make it as thick as you want it for your decoration. So if you feel that it needs more weight, then you can obviously just add more layers of cardstock to create that kind of like more heavyweight embellishment. And then I've got all these pieces that I've cut from the pack. I'm going to lay those around, and then I want a bow made of ribbon at the top. So I'm going to create that first. This again is just like unbranded ribbon from my stash. So I'm going to use one of these mini glue dots to add on my bow. And add that just under the hook. I might add this little heart just underneath it. I'm just going to add those on with some glue dots. And we've got this cute little ornament. I'm going to use some more of this ribbon to create a little hanger for it. So here's our cute tree ornament. And so again we're going to create like a belly band for this. I'm just going to do it in the same way as I did last time. And then I'm just going to lay this along here. And I've got this ribbon, which is again an unbranded ribbon, and I'm just going to lay that along the belly band. Now I think it's easier to trim the ends after you've stuck it down, because then the tape actually helps to stop it from fraying as well. So then I can wrap it around, and I might just add some tape on this one, because obviously it's got the ribbon on, it might not hold as well with the glue. I'm purposely running along either edge of the ribbon so that it's sticking to the paper as well. It sticks better to the cardstock than it does the ribbon. And that slides on and off. So then I've cut a red circle, the same size as the one that I cut out of the middle here. And I'm just going to put one of these die cut stars in the middle of it. And then I'm just going to tape that onto my belly band. And then I'm just going to tuck this ribbon behind the belly band. And then I'm going to use my glue dots again just to attach the ornament onto the belly band. So there's that card finished. And again, you can take this off and use it for your tree. Then for my third card, I've got a 7" by 11" piece of white cardstock. I'm just going to use this template and draw around it to create a curvy gatefold card. Now this is a template that I've created and I'll make it available on my blog, so I'll link it below. And then I'm going to mark the score lines here. So then I'm going to score the score lines before I lose those marks. So I'm going to cut that off in a minute. And then I'm going to cut across here with my trimmer and I'm going to cut down these with my scissors. So I'm going to cut just inside these lines. And then I'm going to fold in those edges and they just meet nicely in the middle. So then I'm going to go over the front of this with my embossing buddy to try and remove any static. And then I'm going to use this stamp from the set. I'm going to use VersaMark ink. I'm just going to stamp it all over the front. So then I've got my Altenew antique silver embossing powder and I'm just going to pour that right over the front. So then I'm going to use my heat tool to melt that. So there's the front of our card. And I'm going to grab my cracked pistachio and salvaged patina distress oxide inks. So then I'm just blending the whole way over. And I'm kind of going to do like patches of each colour. So I've got a really small bit of kitchen paper and I'm just going to go over those embossed bits and take off the excess ink, just make it that bit more shiny. And then also these offcuts that I've got here, I'm going to just add some of the same Distress Oxide ink to these. And then I'm just going to use our die just to cut these trees out. So then I can just snip these little trees off. And then I'm going to cut these apart as well. I might leave a couple together and a couple apart actually. So I've got this really cool large bauble die, which is really nice for this kind of thing. It's actually a really good size for going on an actual Christmas tree. So the set comes with the two sizes of dies. It actually comes with these that I'm not going to use today, but they're really gorgeous, that kind of fit inside them to make the patterns on them. And then they come with these pieces as well that you can pop at the top. And then also like extra bits, so these match some of the pieces that are on here so that you can kind of build them up a bit. And so then you can cut all these bits out separately from different things and create like different colours and really make these look amazing. But for today I've just used, so I've cut out 3 of this die in the Melon Mambo cardstock, and I've used this piece to cut this out of the silver glitter cardstock. It's that same silver glitter we were using earlier. So then all these little pieces I'm going to put through my sticker machine again. Just so much easier than having to fiddle about with all that glue. You just have to make sure that they go in right side up. So then I'm going to glue, I've got 3 of these I'm going to glue together. Again, just use however many you need to get to a thickness that you are happy with. And there's our tree ornament, and you can see that that's quite thick. You could add more layers if you wanted it to be even thicker, but it's not like bending or anything. I'm going to use some of this ribbon that I used on one of the other cards as the tie to hold it onto the tree. Then I've got a piece of pool party cardstock from Stampin' Up that I'm just going to put in the middle just to hide. Can you see I've just some of the ink that when I was blending went through? So this will make the inside look nice. And then I've got this piece of Melon Mambo cardstock that I'm going to just fold around the card. So I'm making the belly band in the exact same way as I've made all the others. I'm just folding it lightly around the card and then burnishing the score lines. And then I'm just going to run a line of tape down the middle of there. And then I'm going to add some of this ribbon on. So then I'm going to glue that around the back. So we can slide that back on. Now I'm going to tuck that behind there and add on a couple of these glue dots. And I'm going to pop that on the front of my card. Then we've got our curvy gatefold card with our bauble on it. Then for this next card I've got a 10 by 7 inch piece of cardstock. This is the Nino Solar White £110. And then I'm going to score it at 2.5 inches and at 7.5 inches. And then I'm going to fold the sides in. And then I'm going to use the same colours as I did on the last card to blend the background. I'm going up from the green into the blue. And then I've just got a 5-inch piece of white cardstock that I'm just going to cut a kind of hill from to make kind of like snowy mounds. I'm going to cut that down the middle so that one piece can go each side. Then I've covered a piece of white cardstock with the pink starry paper from the pack, and I've cut this out once with that and twice on just normal white cardstock. So I'm just going to layer those up. Then also I've got one of these hanger pieces in the white and one with the pink stars on. And then I'm going to pop a bit of glue on there, put that behind there. Then I've cut out the Christmas wishes again with the silver glitter paper, and I'm just going to pop that through this machine. And then I'm going to use some more of this silver ribbon to go through the top. And this time I'm not really going to be able to hide the ribbon behind, so I need to think of something to do with it on the top. So I'm going to put it through like this. Maybe I'll just tie a bow in here and see how that looks. So I'll just have to put a note in the card to untie the bow and tie it into a knot so that you can put it on the tree. So then I'm going to create my belly band in the exact same way as I've done all the others, with a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. And when you're doing these folds here, you need to make sure that the sides are lining up, because if they're like that, then they're not going to join properly and not going to look neat. And then I'm going to use some more of this silver ribbon. And then I'm going to put some of my glue dots on the back again. Pop that on there. And this will go on here. So I want to use this stamp from the stamp set to stamp in the kind of sky behind the ornament. So I'm going to use my black Altenew ink. And I'm just going to stamp it on this piece of scrap cardstock first to make sure it's stamping nicely. And then I want that to go just there. So then I've cut these pieces from the paper pair. If you remember, at the beginning I backed them all with white cardstock. You probably didn't need to back them with white cardstock for this particular project. It does mean that they'll stand off the card a little bit more. And I need to make sure that they're not dimensional. Normally I would add things like this with dimensionals. I need to make sure they're not dimensional because the band needs to slide off. So then you've got this card. So there's that one finished. Now my final card is actually going to be a birthday card. So I've got an 8 1/4 by 5 7/8 piece of Melon Mambo cardstock, and I've already created a card blank from it. And I'm going to butt this up against the side so that it's standing up here, and then I'm going to score it at 1 inch and at 2 inches. And then I'm going to fold that in. I'm going to fold that out. So then you kind of get this like fan effect. So I've got a piece of Pool Party cardstock from Stampin' Up that's going to fit in there. So that measures 2 centimetres by 14.5 centimetres. And then I've got this piece which is 5 centimetres by 14.5 centimetres from the paper pack. And I'm going to put that just under there. And then I've got this piece from the paper back that is 10 centimetres by 14.5 centimetres. And I'm going to just glue that on the inside of my card. Now on this card, I think I'd probably write the sentiment on the back rather than on the inside. So otherwise you're going to ruin that. I mean, you could kind of fit it behind here if you wanted, but I think I would probably do it on the back. So then I'm just also going to pop a bit of glue behind here, just to keep that down. So then for my bauble, I've got 2 circles that I've cut from Melon Mambo cardstock, and those measure just over 8 centimetres. And then one from Pool Party cardstock, and that measures just over 7.5 centimetres. And I've cut these from Melon Mambo cardstock. To be honest, I'll probably end up using this die a lot, not just for these kind of like bauble type things, but really useful just to add to the top for tags and stuff like that as well. It'd also be really good to use for like, you know, like slider cards as the bit that you pull across. You pop a piece of ribbon in there and use that as the slider piece for it, which would be cool. So then I'm just going to glue these together. So I'm going to pop a bit of glue here and add this on. And I've obviously done all one-sided ornaments today, but you could of course make double-sided ornaments as well. So then I've got these presents that I cut from the paper pack. I'm just going to add fine pad behind here. Now I did cut this one out as well. I might use it actually, I might just slot it behind there. And I'm going to use this ribbon that is just off something that I got free with the magazine ages ago. I mean any ribbon that you've got in your stash. There's quite a lot of colours in this, so a lot of different colours would go. So this time for the belly band I've got some Melon Mambo cardstock and just a strip of that paper from the paper pack to decorate it with. And then I'm just going to put some glue behind this bit of paper. So then I'm going to add some glue dots to the back of my ornament. And like I said, I'm using removable glue dots, not the permanent ones, because I want people to be able to use these. And then I'm going to use this Happy Birthday and this birthday greeting stamp set from Altenew. It actually says a happy birthday to you, but I don't want the to you bit on it. And I'm just going to heat emboss that with white embossing powder onto a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. And then I'm going to grab my Altenew pure white embossing powder. And I'm just going to heat set that. And I'm just going to cut that up. And then I can just glue that on. So then that's that card finished. So let's bring in the others. It's actually quite hard to fit them all into shot because there's some big cards there. I really hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, I'd really appreciate you clicking like below. And I'd love to hear in the comments which one's your favourite. You can also press subscribe below if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got a new video available. I'll link the products that we've used for today's cards in the description below, and there'll also be a link to my blog there where you'll be able to find a picture supply list if that helps you to find what you're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.